Boston has been around for 20 years and we've been an Isle of Man headquartered business for all of that time, starting life 20 years ago as a single family office and growing into a multi-family office with businesses headquartered in the Isle of Man but also with an office in Malta and plans for expansion in other jurisdictions. And for the first 17 years of life we were owned by the family office and we were completely privately owned business. 3 years ago, the family office decided they were looking for an exit, so we decided we didn't want Boston to be sold at that point and we wanted to take Boston under new ownership, and so we completed a management buyout.
One of the really exciting things about the MBO was obviously having the opportunity to kind of charter a new course for the company. Coming up family ownership, which had been great for the preceding years, it was nice to kind of look forward, particularly when it's looking at how we're going to grow both organically and through acquisitions. And even in the early days of regulatory approval of the MBO, we were keen to look at acquisition opportunities to grow the scale here in the Isle of Man and in other locations. And I think from my side particularly, it was pleasing to have our first acquisition done within 12 months of the MBO, which was a real, I think, coup for us and an excellent business in IQE Limited.
Yeah, I think that as a business, and particularly because we're headquartered on the island, that the last 5-7 years, I think we've been through we've all been together throughout that period, and we've been through some real high highs and we've been through some real low lows as a business, and that has made us stronger. We have a great team. The majority have been with us for all of that period and been incredibly loyal, and we've shared those high highs and we've also had to share the low lows with them. So looking forward to the next period of growth is really exciting for the business.
So we've got plans over the next few years to continue what we want to do on organic growth, so looking for business development opportunities for our existing client base and from new clients, attracting business to the Isle of Man and also to our other jurisdiction, but also looking for strategic fit acquisitions, and this is building on what Alex just said around the IQE acquisition, which was transformational for the Isle of Man business. We want to look for other businesses that are looking for a safe home for either their clients or for their people, where we've got owner-managers in businesses in the same sector that are looking for an exit. So we're excited about growing the business through acquisition with strategic fits.
With regards to our acquisition journey, I think what's important to us as an Isle of Man business that's kind of grown up over the past 20 years, solely focused here and then recently within Malta, we're keen to ensure that the acquisition strategy remains, that the Isle of Man office remains key to the headquarters. We've grown from a modest size of 10 at the very beginning to over 50 staff now, and as we look to grow that business further, I think it's fair to say that everyone in this office is keen to ensure that we keep the Isle of Man heritage front and foremost in our minds. This really comes back to the culture point that we've talked about, in that wherever we acquire, whether that be more businesses in Malta, in the Channel Islands or further afield, keeping the cultural heritage of the business and the ethos of what we're trying to achieve at the front of our mind will become more difficult. And what we really have to focus in on is why was the Isle of Man important to us at the beginning, and the fact that will stay focused on our minds going forward as we grow elsewhere.
Culture is the key to our business, and we have to recognise as a business that we are only as successful as the people within our business. So what we do for our day-to-day and what we do for our clients, we recognise that those clients are, by the very nature of what we do, wealthy people who are used to dealing with professionals. They like to have a link back into the business with consistency, so they like to understand who they're dealing with. So it's very important to us that we not only attract the best staff, but we retain those people within the business, because the disruption otherwise to the clients is unacceptable. So we recognised very early on in our growth journey that what we do as a business, as a TSP, CSP, is not greatly different to what other businesses do, but our differential can be our culture. So what can we do to be the employer of choice on the Isle of Man and further afield where we have offices? And that comes down to some real simple things. You know, we make it a pleasant place to work. You know, we have a nice office environment where there is a freedom to grow and to learn within the business. So people have the freedom to ask questions and to learn whilst they're working. So we have, I know people say, an open door policy. We do. We all work on the same floor. I don't have an office. So we work within the teams. It also allows people to enjoy the journey, and that's one of our values. That's one of our values, that, you know, enjoy the journey along the way. So we have, you know, social events. We try and have events that will include everybody. So it's not just about drinking. You know, it's about family, days out. We are a flexible employer, so we allow people to have flexible hours within the working day. So what works for their day and what works for their lifestyle. And we are respectful of each other and we respect everybody else. So it's trying to encompass all of those things of essentially being nice people and a pleasant place to work. And I don't think you can underestimate the value of that. What we want is for people, when they're looking to perhaps move within their role in another business, that they think Boston is where I would like to go. And we recognise in the island, we're not a huge pool of people. So from within that pool of people, we want to attract the best and the best for our clients.
I think some good examples of that were really highlighted during COVID and lockdown. I mean, we are quite a sociable bunch, and you know, some of us like to eat, some of us like to drink more. But getting together is definitely, you know, high on the agenda, regardless of kind of the demographic and age. And I think during COVID, it kind of really hit home that we couldn't do that. We couldn't go out, we couldn't have dinners, we couldn't drink. And so keeping in touch with the staff and trying to have a social element whilst remote was really important. And every Friday at 4 o'clock we would stop, we would join a Teams call, we would do a quiz. Someone within the office would send, fancy dress. Someone within the office would do another quiz that we could pass on to those that had young children so that they could do a quiz by themselves. You know, we'd raise a glass of wine and have a chat and, you know, just check in with each other to make sure that everyone was okay. And I, one of my proudest moments of the whole thing is when we came up with the idea for the Boston Tea Party, which was one, so that everyone could kind of socialise with their family in a nice environment, but obviously for, you know, other economies to try and help stimulate them, where restaurants were closed and, you know, takeaways were maybe not doing the sort of business that they would ordinarily do. So it wasn't just thinking about what it meant for Boston and our staff, but thinking a bit wider about what would help the Isle of Man. And I think it was good, and certainly it resonated with other people, because I know lots of other people that did very similar things in their businesses, which I don't think without COVID we probably would have done the same.
Yeah, I think the staff were again key to it all, because if we knew, for example, that there were people that lived on their own, we were checking in every day to see how they were feeling, how they were coping. If there were people with young kids that were at home, you know, we recognise that's challenging. So we don't expect you to just sit there from 9 o'clock till 5 o'clock. Work around how it can work for you. And I think we recognise that some people struggled, and we would send, you know, what we call Boston Cares. So we'd send a small kind of food hamper or some cakes or, you know, some cocktails, or just to cheer up their week and recognise, you know, we understand how difficult this is and it's not the best of circumstances, but we tried to make the best of it. And some of those things were not huge monetary value, they were just thoughtful. And it kind of comes back to our culture that we would like to think of ourselves as thoughtful.
And a team.
Yeah.
And I would say that what we saw, everything that Alex and Sarah just said around what we did as a business throughout COVID was to try and bring the team together. And I think it helped us understand what motivates a team, how we keep great people within a business, because we want great people to stay with this business for a very long time. And actually, all of the distraction of COVID and home working and the pandemic allowed us to really focus in on what team culture is, and I think we did it well. We kept a great group of people who were motivated, enthusiastic, and really helped the business grow during a difficult period. And I think coming out of it, looking for acquisitions and other growth opportunities, we've got the best team, and we just want to attract more people to be part of it.
And it's not just solely about continuing professional education. We've done things within the office as well. So we've run weekly Pilates sessions. We've done sessions on the menopause, which are interesting. People more than others. So it's just things that may be helpful to the team, that might interest them, and it's something else to add into the equation, because it's not solely about salary. There are other things that enhance people's working life that we can do, we think, quite easily, but it's the small things that make a big difference.
Yeah, I find a lot of what my role is now looking at is in that mergers and acquisition space. And to date, the conversations that Kath and I have been having have all been driven by our own network, and in some cases people approaching us because this story kind of resonates with them. So little snippets that they've heard from people, whether that be on the island or further afield, and all of those conversations have been driven by business owners that are looking for a different sort of exit than they may have looked at 5 or 10 years ago, where their clients have been clients for many, many years, the staff have been there since the business opened, and what they're really looking for is a legacy. Even though they're going to lose the business in name, they want the legacy to continue in the spirit of the people and the clients that they hold on to. And I think a lot of the conversations that we've had, that's definitely resonated with them and kind of made our job somewhat easier in talking to these opportunities. And I definitely think that's something that we can continue to grow on as we look further afield.
So when we decided to do the management buyout, one of the reasons we were very keen to continue Boston and to continue the journey that we'd started under family office ownership was the focus on private client business. Boston has been synonymous with private client right since its early days, and we believe the Isle of Man is ideally placed to capitalise on the private client market, which probably has been a little bit ignored by some of our competitors in recent years.
Yeah, I think that's safe to say that is the case, and that we put a great emphasis on the relationships with our clients, but specifically in the private client area, a lot of those relationships are based around trust structures or foundations, and to our mind, you can only go into those relationships with a collaborative approach. So we are, moving into the modern world. You will have those discussions with your beneficiaries, you'll have those discussions with your family. So a lot of the clients we deal with now are entrepreneurial in background, or they have vast business experience. So the client that maybe existed 25, 30 years ago, where they were landed gentry, those clients have morphed into entrepreneurial families, and they like the approach where we have those meetings, we have roundtable discussions, the trustees will make the decisions, and those decisions rest with us, but it's a more modern approach, and we find that particularly those families and those clients that get that approach and appreciate it. So it's sort of modernising that part of it as well, and showing the team that that's what our approach is, and they grow up and learn within the business that is how we deal with our clients.
Yeah, I think the pandemic obviously made our clients reevaluate and rethink what they require in the services that businesses like ours offer. In that, the relationship point is incredibly important, and if you don't meet with your trustee regularly, if you don't have any contact with them at all, the first thing that you're concerned about when you hit a pandemic is what's going on, what's going on in the rest of the world, and it becomes more important to have someone that, as the word puts in it, trust. Do you really trust in your trustee? Are they really there to look after the interests of the beneficiaries through good times and bad times? times, and can you reach them? You know, I mean, can you reach someone on a mobile phone if their office isn't open? Will they have a Teams call with you if they can't jump on an airplane? Are they willing to have discussions, which at that time could be quite difficult if, you know, it's one thing when the markets are on the rise, but if markets are depressed, people who've got commercial property and people are, you know, not able to pay the rent, who's having these conversations with agents to ensure that things are being managed properly? Having it professionally managed is incredibly important, but I think having the confidence and the trust in the provider that's looking after it for you, I think the pandemic has really shown that that's where the difference in a service provider can really come to the front.